The directed funding opportunity. This is a funding opportunity that the ABF has been running for 3 years, for 3 fiscal years over its 5-year history, and so the goals of the directed funding opportunity are really just echo what Nathan kind of talked about, of deploying ABF's capabilities in order to accelerate the commercialization of bioproducts, to augment ABF's capabilities in an industry responsive manner, and to kind of as a nod to the Bioenergy Technology Office's strategic objectives to essentially decarbonize the industrial sector, part of which is developing sustainable biofuels. So just by way of project history, so far, the directed funding opportunity has accrued about $15 million in DOE funds over its 3 fiscal years of execution, with a minimum 20% cost share. That has resulted in a total of 21 projects. 7 projects were awarded in 17, 8 in FY20, and 6 in FY21. So very high level process overview, and I'll focus mostly on the applied part for the industry kind of input of the process. So there's some planning that takes place, of course, where we work to understand what worked well, what didn't work well in past DFOs. We apply that so that there's this continuous improvement kind of paradigm that we always adhere to. Then the application process itself is one where the prospective applicant would essentially describe the project that they envision in a brief abstract, and then join a kind of a speed dating coordination call where they would have a few minutes to describe the project further, and then the 10 or so Agile BioFoundry lead investigators would have an opportunity to kind of describe their capabilities and specifically respond to the project description and the abstract. And so from that, we would then move forward to a selection process where external reviewers who have been carefully vetted for their lack of conflict of interest for the applications they're reviewing would give us their expert opinion and recommendation, and score and rank those proposals. And then the selection committee of the Agile BioFoundry would then select from among that top ranked group in order to sort of have a nice balanced and strategically selected portfolio of projects. Then there would be an agreement process, and of course, Robin went into some depth with regard to the cooperative research and development agreements, and so that process takes place, and then the actual research kicks off from there. So far, we have worked with 21 across 21 individual projects, and something on the order of 22 or so different groups. Sometimes they come in as pairs of collaborators. So we've really run the gamut in terms of the types of companies we've worked with and the types of projects that we've initiated. The DFO participants have really used the full breadth of ABF's capabilities. There's no one area that they seem to go to over and over again. Design, build, test, and learn. The entire kind of DBTL cycle is something that the groups utilize routinely, not to mention the kinds of other areas, these sort of supportive ancillary areas that Nathan alluded to in terms of techno-economic analysis and life cycle analysis for understanding economic feasibility and impact to the environment, as well as translating that technology to scale and sort of climbing the technology readiness ladder. Kind of in the bargain, these projects have resulted in quite a bit of augmentation to ABF's capabilities in the realms of, just by way of example, host onboarding, where groups like Caverdi and Basolis and others have really contributed to our ability to bring on new non-canonical hosts. Various modeling and bioinformatics capabilities have been augmented through our collaborative efforts with Agilent and Lagos and quite a few others. And the DBTL cycle itself has been grown more efficient by virtue of the fact that we're simply turning that crank more frequently and studying how we achieve even more efficient results across that cycle. So the FY17 DFO, as I mentioned, had 7 proposals. It had 7 proposals that were awarded, rather. 19 proposals were submitted, and so that translates into about a 4-fold oversubscription at about $19 million requested. So that was our first foray into the directed funding opportunity, and we learned quite a bit, not the least of which was the idea of generating a non-negotiable credit in order to speed things along in that part of the process. So I'll just hit a couple highlights. One of which is that in that first cohort of directed funding opportunities, we had LIGOS, which used that collaboration to advance their isobutyrate platform, and so that's obviously a methacrylate kind of compound that is used in a wide variety of products, obviously for plexiglass and so forth. And so they were able to advance that platform of theirs by a 20-fold increase in titer in a matter of 2 years. And so that was something that we were excited about, and of course, LIGOS was quite excited about. Secondly, from that first cohort, we worked with Tecellogen and integrated with Tecellogen's synthetic evolution platform across a variety of tools from ABF. And in doing so, we were able to publish high impact publications, and Tecellogen was able to kind of leverage that for inking new deals with other groups, including from LanzaTech. Kind of staying with the LanzaTech theme, LanzaTech themselves partnered with the Agile BioFoundry and in developing AI models, which were successful in recapitulating human expertise for identifying stable continuous fermentation regimes. And so this was extremely important for them to be able to deploy their technology to new and sort of nth scale factories across the world, and so they continue to develop these technologies. The FY20 DFO is now off and running, and that had 8 proposals awarded across 17 applications that were submitted, and so that translated into a 2.4-fold oversubscription of our DFO. And again, just to hit a few highlights, C16 Biosciences has the goal of leveraging ABF's onboarded host, that's R-tauruloides, to accelerate biomanufacturing of its mid-chain fatty acid platform, which is essentially a palm oil alternative. Let's see. And then Endurogenetics is another one. This is a group that has developed a product addiction technology in E. coli, and they're quite keen to then translate that into other more commercially relevant hosts. So they'll be working with LBL, NREL, and Los Alamos on this project for identifying paths to reducing heterogeneity and onboarding of new hosts. So they'll be working with B. subtilis as well as ABF's Corynebacterium glutamicum platform for mucinate production. And finally, the most recent FY21 DFO resulted in 6 proposals, and for that, there was about a 3-fold oversubscription from the 17 proposals that were submitted, and the 6 that went forward include from Technology Holding, Tecellogen, LanzaTech again, Levadura Biotech, Industrial Microbes, and Hue. And so just to give a very quick overview of those projects, Hue is in the business of creating an indigo dye production strain, and Industrial Microbes is very interested in gas fermentation and marrying that to various AI models. LanzaTech wants to move forward a little bit more aggressively with its Clostridium platform for augmented genetic tools in that organism. Levadura Biotechnology is working in triacid lactone production. Technology Holding is adipic acid, and then Tesselgen Biotech is interested in deploying AI for community-generated data. So those are the 6 projects that are moving forward most recently. So the DFO impact really comes down to serving as a successful mechanism for deploying Agile BioFoundry capabilities directly to industry to solve its toughest challenges. The DFO really supports ABF's strategic goals in that way, and so there's a great symbiosis that is created by virtue of the DFO. And then finally, the DFO really serves as a valuable kind of vehicle for industry engagement, so that we can continue to understand the kind of ever-changing needs of the field and really respond to that in the most agile way possible.